Joining us now is Brian Nagel from Oppenheimer. Brian, you pay more attention here to the revenue or to other things?
Well, good afternoon. Look, this was a clear beat by Nike. And I think, just like you're saying, John, I think, the revenue is important here because that's really been the missing piece. I mean, sales have been weak at Nike for a while. And what we learned here just a few minutes ago in the recent quarter, sales were, still not up to Nike standards, but significantly better than they've been. And if you look through that P&L, gross margins were not as weak, and they did a nice job controlling expenses. But, the revenue beat, particularly wholesale, was definitely notable.
So what is the narrative that is building here with these numbers that you just got? And then what's the potential counter narrative, negative, that could derail that still?
Well, the narrative, and look, I'm very much a bull on Nike, so this is my narrative as well, is that this under new management, Nike is reinvigorated, and it'll take time. But we're seeing the company much more focused on product innovation, much more focused on its legacies in sports, and re-engaging with wholesale partners. And again, like I said, that's going to take time. This is a big company, but I would say over the next several quarters, we're going to see more and more progress towards Nike basically reinvigorating itself. Now, the naysayers, the other side of the argument is that Nike's lost its way. The doldrums of Nike in the last few years have allowed other competitors to come in, and then the competitive landscape is now too difficult for Nike. You've got a difficult macro backdrop. China's not cooperating. We don't know what's happening with the tariffs. But again, in my view, Nike's going to plow through this, and we will see a reinvigoration of the company over time.
How much of a thorn in Nike's side could China be, given that, we've been doing a lot of reporting here from our Eunice Yoon on the difficult economy out there, and you sort of never know what consumers in China see as a bargain and are willing to spend on in this environment?
Well, look, it's a good question. So if you look at the numbers now, China is still relatively small for Nike. This is a global company, obviously, with a huge business in the United States. So China is relatively small. I think where China becomes more important is, if I'm right, and we see this reinvigoration of Nike over the next several quarters, the stock gets a higher multiple, and investors at that point start asking, okay, what's next? That's when China's important. Okay, and I think a lot of consumer companies still look at China as a largely untapped or at least uncapitalized upon consumer market. But right now, as long as China doesn't get significantly worse and the other parts of Nike's business get better, I think that'll be good enough.
All right. Nike stock here in overtime looking like it's making a run at trying to regain some of that pop. Brian Nagel, thank you.